What if I told you Gen V wasn't just a spin-off, but a blueprint for the boys' endgame, one that's been secretly building since Season 1? Yeah, stay with me. Because what happened in that finale wasn't random chaos. It was a coded declaration of war. Marie didn't just defeat Godolkin. She exposed Vought's biggest weakness, their illusion of control. And Sage, the one who pretended to mastermind every step, she might have just created the next Homelander level threat on purpose. Think about it. When has a Arrow ever chosen to take down their own boyfriend just to advance a plan? That's not strategy. That's sacrifice. And if you've watched The Boys long enough, you know, sacrifice always comes before a revolution. But hold that thought, because this story doesn't end with Marie's rebellion. It bleeds directly into the final season of The Boys. The timelines line up perfectly 6 months later. The world is on fire, Butcher is dying, and Starlight is leading a resistance so broken it might tear itself apart before Homelander even shows up. So here's the question no one's asking. Was Gen V really about Godolkin University? Or was it Vought's final test run for a new kind of soup? Opening hook loop 1 team. The Forbidden Blueprint, here's my theory, and tell me if this doesn't sound insane. Every student at Godolkin wasn't being trained to be a hero. They were being programmed to replace the 7. Think of it as Vought's Generation Reload. Marie, Jordan, Emma, Sam, Kate. All prototypes, all unstable, all easier to manipulate. Vought's worst nightmare wasn't exposure. It was losing control of the next generation. And when Marie took down Godolkin's leadership, she didn't just rebel, she broke the chain of command. That's why the finale felt so different. The stakes weren't emotional, they were existential. If you look closely, every move Sage made lines up with one agenda: take out the unpredictable players. Could build a loyal army from the survivors. Make the world believe Vought's new generation is still heroes. It's genius. And horrifying. Because the real twist, Sage didn't fail. She succeeded. The chaos we saw, the school in flames, the students scattered, wasn't the end of her plan. It was phase 1. Loop 2 and the Butcher countdown now. Let's talk about the part that has every The Boys fan on edge. Butcher's ticking clock. He's got maybe 6 months left to live. 6 months. And in that time, he's going to decide whether to die fighting Homelander or die becoming him. Let's be honest. Butcher's already halfway there. The rage, the power addiction, the refusal to stop. It's not vengeance anymore. It's obsession. And when obsession mixes with desperation, bad things happen. So here's my question to you. If Butcher does die, do you think he'll go out as a hero or a monster? Drop your take in the comments. I want to know if anyone still believes redemption is even possible for him at this point. Because remember, Starlight's building a resistance. Train switching sides. Homelander's tightening his grip. And Butcher. He's just trying to survive long enough to finish his mission, no matter who burns with him. Loop 3D. The Forbidden Knowledge. Vought's secret timeline. Here's where things get really interesting. The Gen V finale and The Boys Season 5 aren't just connected. They're mirrors. Both show Vought losing control and trying to rewrite the narrative. In Gen V, the chaos at Godolkin forced Vought to shut down one arm of their empire. In The Boys, Homelander's public trial and his terrifying popularity shows they've lost the other. The company's 2 strongest assets, youth and image, are collapsing from within. You think Vought's going to let that slide? Not a chance. Behind the scenes, they're already working on a counterstrike, a political reshuffle, a media reset, and maybe even a new 7. Rumor has it Season 5 will open with a chilling montage. Cities rebuilt, riots silenced, and propaganda everywhere. Vought declaring peace, right before the bloodiest war in the show's history. And remember that facility we saw at the end of Gen V, the one with the locked cells and missing students? That wasn't a lab, that was a farm, where the next phase of Compound V testing is happening in secret. We're talking Project Rebirth, levels of corruption. Superhumans grown, not born, loyal, emotionless, and fully weaponized. If that's true, then The Boys' final season isn't about heroes vs villains anymore. It's about humans vs gods. Audience, hook your theory time, okay? Pause for a second. I need your theory. Do you think Marie and the surviving students will side with Starlight's rebellion, or end up being used by Vought all over again? Because personally, I don't trust anyone who's ever stepped foot in that university. Everyone there was brainwashed in some way. But maybe that's what makes them dangerous enough to fight Vought for real. Comment your take below. I'll feature the sharpest one in the next video. And yeah, if you made it this far into the breakdown, That means you're exactly the kind of fan who gets how deep the boys' universe really goes. So do yourself a favor, hit subscribe. We dig into the hidden, the forbidden, and the unspoken truths behind every twist this franchise throws at us. Loop 4, the coming war now. Let's connect the final dots. The timeline jump. 6 months after Gen V Season 2 ends, The Boys Season 5 begins. In that time, Butcher's dying. Starlight's leading an underground resistance. Homelander's transforming from narcissistic god to full-blown dictator. But here's what's wild. Homelander's empire isn't built on fear anymore. It's built on faith. He's turning his followers into believers. Not fans. Not supporters. Believers. And believers don't question. They obey. Vought's entire structure has shifted from corporate corruption to political religion. The heroes aren't products anymore. They're prophets, and that makes them unstoppable. So what's the only way to take down a god? You create another. That's what Gen V set up. The creation of the next super weapon. But whether it's Marie, Kate, or Sam who becomes it, that's the question Season 2 will answer. And trust me, the answer will change everything we thought we knew about the boys. You know what's wild? Every time you think Vought can't possibly sink lower, they grab a shovel and start digging straight to the center of the earth. Marie thought she escaped their control, but she never realized. Vought doesn't lose people, it rebrands them. Think about it, a company that owns every camera, every contract, every serum vial. Do you really believe anyone runs away from that? Or do they just get reassigned to a new nightmare with better lighting? And now, with Sage playing 4-dimensional chess, the board's starting to burn. Polarity's memory gaps. Godolkin's cleanup. Whispers of something called Phase 2, a project so classified that even Homelander doesn't have clearance. Yeah, let that sink in. When Homelander isn't in the loop, you know you're standing at the gates of hell. So here's the crazy part, Season 5 isn't just about who wins. It's about who survives knowing the truth. Because if the Gen V crew really joins Starlight's resistance, we're talking about a collision of two worlds. Young rebels chasing freedom, and old soldiers drowning in guilt. Picture it, Annie and A, Train trying to keep hope alive while Butcher coughs up the last of his humanity. 6 months of silence, and suddenly every secret starts screaming. Tell me, do you honestly think Butcher will let a bunch of college kids steal his war? Or is he about to become the final villain in the story he swore to end? You see the pattern, right? Vought breeds chaos, then profits from the cleanup. Heroes break, the company sells redemption. Same playbook, new pawns. And yet, fans keep asking, who's the real monster? Maybe it's the system. Maybe it's the silence that lets it thrive. Subscribe right now if you've ever looked at a so-called hero and thought, there's no way this person still believes they're the good guy. Because what's coming next will make you question everyone's motive, including your own. Now, imagine this, a world where every cell tower doubles as a surveillance hub, where the Compound V formula updates in real time, where Sage doesn't need to destroy Vought, she just has to own its algorithm. Sounds impossible. That's exactly what they want you to think. Homelander's losing control. Starlight's losing faith. And somewhere between them, Marie's team is learning the first rule of rebellion. You can't fight corruption with innocence. You fight it with information.